Hey, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Mike, Mad Dog, Magnetic Street talking other stuff. Thanks for being with us on this Monday morning. I'm going to dispense with the usual frivolity today. My heart's not in it. I'm sure yours isn't either. This tragedy in Las Vegas is on many people's minds. From the last information I got, about 58 people dead, possibly more. And I heard over 500 wounded so far. Our prayers and thoughts go out to the folks down there. So like I say, we're not going to go into the jokes, that type of thing today. We're going to just respect the issue. But I do have a very interesting guest today. As many of you know, there's a hot topic issue going on locally, and we're going to discuss that. But again, Mike Magnati, Mike Mad Dog, Magnetic Street talking other stuff. Thanks for being with us. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Having a relationship with your pediatrician is so important. Feeling that sense of trust, that is priceless. I tell everybody about CBCH. I love it there. When I make an appointment, I don't have to take an entire day off. As a working mom, my life is really busy. Family time is everything. That's what we all work towards. And I feel like CBCH respects that.
For plumbing, heating, or cooling repair, Patriot will be right there.
Is your home as comfortable as you like? This Lennox dealer can help.
Make your home comfortable with a Lennox system from Patriot Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Call Patriot today.
Patriot Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling will give your home a hug.
Lennox, innovation never felt so good.
Pets are not your whole life, but they do make your life whole. At Paws and Claws Veterinary Hospital, not only do they understand that fact, they live it every day. Dr. Baez and her staff at Paws and Claws love dogs and cats so much they've dedicated their lives to the well-being of our four-legged friends. They offer compassionate care with a personal touch. Paws and Claws Veterinary Hospital on the corner of 4th and Nile in East Wenatchee, or call 888-PAWS.
Antique Mall at Cashmere is Trade Dollar Coins' new location. Whether you're in search for coins, currency, gold, or silver, you'll find what you're looking for. From coin enthusiasts to avid collectors, find coins rarely seen from around the world. Whether you're buying or selling or need supplies, Trade Dollar Coins is the place to be. Located in Antique Mall at Cashmere. Open 7 days a week.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Street Talking Other Stuff with Mike, Mad Dog, Magnati. Thanks for being with us today. Now, got an interesting issue going on locally. There is a school over in East Wenatchee called Lee School. That's the name it's been known by for many years. Well, recently, due to other events occurring in the country, people are realizing that it's Robert E. Lee Elementary School, and some folks are developing pretty strong opinions one way or the other about the name of that school. It's being considered now. The East Wenatchee School District is going to be having a meeting on October 23rd, I believe is the date. No, is it October? Yeah, October 23rd, to discuss this. I guess it was discussed sometime in the past about the possibility of changing the name. Now, last week, I had a good friend of mine, Sue Ellen Harris, on to talk about why she felt the name of the school should be changed. And this week, I have my friend, Mr. Miles Darlington. Miles, nice to have you here.
Thank you.
Miles is a former educator, local educator, also Army, retired Army. He'll talk more about that in a minute. But he's here to discuss why he feels and why others feel the name should not be changed. So appreciate you coming today.
Thank you.
So, tell us a little, again, sure. Tell us a little bit about yourself so people know who they're listening to this morning.
Well, as you just said, I'm retired Army, but so a lot of that was time with the reserves, so therefore I had the time to develop a career in education and also prior law enforcement. But I have a family of 5 kids. My oldest is in the Air Force.
Okay, cool.
And my wife Mary's at home watching right now.
Really? Hi, Mary. How are you?
And See, lost my train of thought there.
Well, that's more. That's probably more than I can say for my wife. My wife probably is not watching. Look ahead, 5 kids. Your wife Mary's watching. Your former educator. So that's good. What did you teach? And you taught here locally, correct?
That's a big subject.
Okay.
I mean, I had 9 endorsements on my teaching certification,
Okay.
continuing certification, or continuing teacher certification is
Sure.
what it's called. And so I covered everything from science to political science, and one of them is history.
Okay. Which you do have a specific interest in.
I have an interest in history. I like history. I wouldn't say it's my best subject,
Okay.
but I do the research when I think I need to.
Okay. And
Hopefully I learned a little bit after these circumstances. So.
all right. And just to backtrack a little bit, Miles actually was with the Wenatchee Police Department for a while, sometime before I was on. Okay. But how long did you serve with the Wenatchee PD?
Not very long. All of a sudden, well, that's another story that would take up the rest of this program.
Okay. So we won't go there. Just give it to us briefly.
I got diverted out of my education goals, and by another police officer who challenged me to take the test. Wound up working for Wenatchee Police Department, and I'm going, wow, this is kind of cool. So I changed my major and went to Oregon and studied law enforcement and worked in law enforcement down there, and came back here and decided to go back to education.
All right, great, good. And that's where you made your major contribution in the community, correct?
Well, I hope it was.
Okay, well, good.
I actually, eventually, my specialty became at-risk youth.
I'm sorry, what?
At-risk youth.
Oh, okay. Tell us a little bit about that. What kind
Well,
of work
I
that
worked
was.
for a number of years at SkillSource with young people who were trying to get their GED and/or finish enough credits to graduate from high school.
Wow, that's pretty noble. Good for you. Good. That must have been rewarding.
It was. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I got into it and enjoyed it. Yeah.
Yeah, because many, a lot of students these days, the, traditional high school experience isn't for them. I'm really glad we have Westside. My son-in-law graduated from there, as some other people I know real well. But I know my wife and I had a young teen mom living with us for a while, and she went to SkillSource to get her GED. So that was good. Okay, this issue of Lee School. All right, what are you thinking about it? I mean, what's the thought process behind it? What's your particular interest in this topic?
Well, from my perspective, I'm coming from obviously a love of history. I wished I knew a lot more than I do. My favorite class was the American Revolution, so I didn't get into the Civil War as much as I probably could have. But my perspective is from American exceptionalism. We're all Americans, North and South. We're Americans. We're descendants of those folks who were involved in that whole situation. And, it's a long time period between that time and now.
Right.
So that's my general interest in the area. This gave me an opportunity to take a closer look at Robert E. Lee as a general. And I find his background quite fascinating.
Okay, we'll get to there in a minute, but let me ask you about what your initial emotional or gut reaction was when you heard there was people going to put pressure to have the name of the school changed.
My initial reaction was, why? It's all part of our American culture. It's all part of what we are. We have been molded by events in our history as a nation, and that was just a part of it.
Okay.
And we can't hide it. We shouldn't change it. We need to study it and learn from it.
Okay.
And there was, what's his name? Edmund Burke.
Right.
He had a famous quote it was his quote. He said, if you don't learn your history, and this is my paraphrase, if you don't learn your history, you're doomed to repeat it.
Sure. And you feel that if the name is changed, it's going to deny a little bit of that, or do I?
Well, it's just one.
Maybe
it's,
deny
It's
isn't
just
the
one
right
chip
word.
away from our heritage.
Okay.
It's just, and I think we need to keep it all. And I know that there is a population here in this valley that is a lot of Southern folk migrated here.
Sure.
And from my research, there was thousands that came to the Northwest, as you said, during the Dust Bowl days in 1935 through 1960. And a number of folks from Arkansas settled on the east side. So there's a large population base that were primarily Southerners. I haven't been able to nail down why the school was named Robert E. Lee. Specifically, I wished I could have been a fly on the wall at that point in time.
Yeah, there's been quite a bit of speculation about that. I don't know, we're going to get into that today, but you know, what you say is correct. When I moved out here in 1973, that's one of the things I noticed, that there were a good many people lived here who were from the southern part of the United States, and I realized that, again, it was the Dust Bowl that brought them out here. So, okay.
You'd be surprised the folks that are here in the community that names are recognized, what their ancestry actually is. A lot of them came from the South.
Okay. All right, so you said that this issue caused you to do a little more research and looking into, you know, Robert E. Lee, the general, or, you know, the person. What kind of stuff did you find out that you feel is relevant?
Well, Robert E. Lee was a fascinating individual, and many people recognize him as a man of honor.
Sorry about that fly.
Yeah,
Caitlin, we got a fly in here, okay?
Got something to shoot it with?
Yeah, we got some bug spray. We'll spray it down. But it's just if Miles starts going like this, folks, this is a fly flying around, okay?
My wife knows.
He's not really crazy.
My wife knows I hate flies.
Okay. Well, everybody does. All right, well, go ahead. Robert E. Lee. What?
Well, yeah, he had a reputation as a man of honor, a man of strong integrity. He was the only ever cadet in West Point Academy, the Army's West Point Academy, to graduate without a demerit.
Really? That I didn't know.
That says something about his character.
That
right
I didn't
there.
know. Okay.
And he was second from the top as in his class when he graduated. So that shows a lot of expertise and, you know, skill. He was given the command of the Virginian Army.
Right.
And he was very loyal, that was his home state. He was very loyal to the state of Virginia. And this may come as a surprise to a number of folks, but he wasn't a slave owner until.
Yeah, you started to tell me that earlier, because I've seen both. I mean, people have said he owned slaves, other people say he never did, but you found out something.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I think he was too busy with the military to worry about owning slaves.
Right.
But his wife inherited slaves when her father passed away. And so by default, I guess you could say he was a slave owner.
He became a slave owner, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But I don't think he ever had time to do much with the slaves. So.
Okay.
And he was reluctant about slavery from what I'm understanding. He had reservations about it.
Yeah, well, many people did. And let me ask you a question. I think this is correct. Wasn't he the one who President Lincoln sent to put down the rebellion started by John Brown?
You know, I'm not sure about that.
I
I'm not sure about
think
that.
that's the case.
It could be.
Okay, but if I'm wrong, what else is new? Okay, you know, but he was he performed admirably during the Mexican Wars, and of course I know you know this, but he was the one who Lincoln wanted to head the Army of the Potomac.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, he was offered a command with the Union, and he defaulted and went to his native state, Virginia, because of his loyalties there first. And what people need to understand, times now are different than times then.
Right.
States were regarded more as individual countries within the Union. I think that's one way to put it. So loyalties were strong for their individual states, and states' rights was a major issue.
Right, and that's, you know, we talked about that last week a little bit, was that, yeah, loyalty to states was much different than it is now. And actually, Sue Ellen, that was one of the points you brought up, let's see if I get this right, was that the Civil War did help us move away from that a little bit and make us more of a unified nation rather than a confederacy of individual
had that impact,
states.
yes.
So
I would say that was probably the case. So.
all right. So a lot of people have vilified him, but let's get into that in a minute. But I want to take a break. We've got to take a break. It's about the midpoint through the show. But I'm talking today with Mr. Miles Darlington. He's an Army retiree. He's a local educator. He's been somebody who's been contributing to this community for quite some time. He's here to talk about why he and others feel the name of Robert E. Lee Elementary School should not be changed. But hey, street talk and other stuff. Mike Mad Dog McNally, you stick around. We will be right back.
No matter what your age or ailment, when you wake up each day with a sense of purpose, life has meaning and joy.
Just wait a while, it'll get in the hole somewhere.
Helping you do this is our purpose. Highgate Senior Living, each day to the fullest.
The best thing about my life right now is
me. If you are looking for dependable car service and repair, visit the good guys at Quick Lube and Tune. They've been keeping cars and trucks in the Wenatchee Valley running smooth for 35 years. Quick Lube and Tune is your hometown shop for a 10-minute oil change, complete tune-ups, alignments, brakes, mufflers, air conditioning service, and more. Get more life out of your vehicle by bringing it to the local guys you can trust at Quick Lube and Tune on South Wenatchee Avenue.
It's the end of summer. Time for Leonard Evans Used Car Superstore's end of summer free-for-all. Get to Leonard Evans Used Car Superstore now. Pick out any vehicle in stock and drive away with $0 down. Then keep driving payment-free until December. That's right, 3 full months with no payments. Who else is going to make an offer this good? Nobody. That's who. And everybody knows we service what we sell at the Leonard Evans Used Car Superstore. Corner on Maple Street and North Wenatchee Avenue in Wenatchee and LeonardEvansCars.com.
At Local Myth Pizza, we believe in real food, freshly prepared with only premium ingredients. Our cheeses are imported from Italy. Our sauces, dressings, and even our sausages are made in-house fresh daily. Featuring Northwest craft beers and 30 Chelan Valley wines and ciders. Family fun and amazing food. Eat local, drink local, and be local at Local Myth Pizza.
Come see why Sunset Magazine says you can't beat Local Myth Pizza.
All right, Street Dog and other stuff. Mike Mad Dog Magnetti. I'm here with Mr. Miles Darlington. We're talking about the issue about Robert E. Lee School over in East Wenatchee, about whether or not the name should be changed. And there's a strong, number of people in this valley who are very much opposed to changing the name. And I'm speaking with Mr. Miles Darlington, who is an articulate and intelligent gentleman who is not coming at this at an emotional level, which I appreciate, though the emotion's not necessarily bad. But I wanted to ask, okay, a lot of people have been feeling that part of the issue is that Robert E. Lee School in East Wenatchee is the only school currently west of Texas that is named for a Confederate general. And some folks are saying that that just doesn't make any sense for that to be. And I want to know if you feel that argument is relevant or what validity that argument might have, in your opinion.
I don't think it should make any difference. And I should say, I'm trying to be objective about this issue.
Sure.
I would have come down on the side of the Union if I lived during those days of the Civil War.
Sure.
And of course, I'm very definitely anti-slavery. It's nothing was really right about that, but it was a cultural part of the world at that point in time that, and it was commonplace. African tribes, I'm kind of roundabout way of answering your question.
No, it's okay, go ahead.
African tribes are taking each other into slavery and even selling slaves to the slave traders to bring over here. And every race on the planet has probably has ancestors who were slaves. Roman Empire,
sure.
Egypt, the Jews, a lot of big examples. But back to your question, is it geographically important here to have that name? And I don't have a problem with it because Washington State wasn't even a member of the United States. It wasn't a state at the time of the Civil War. The folks from the South migrated here primarily because of agricultural interests, jobs. They needed jobs, and they came here for jobs in the agriculture industry. A lot of it, obviously, orchards. And so a lot of them were here, so they brought their culture with them. And it's all kind of blended into the valley at this point, but I have no problem with honoring somebody who was regarded as a hero and actually a part of the Confederacy because of his feelings at the time and regarding Virginia as his home country, basically. And his feelings about slavery, he was not necessarily 100% supportive of slavery, and I can't remember the specifics of how he came about releasing the slaves that his wife had, but that was the change point in history right there for this country that turned everything around. But the war was not about primarily slavery. It was states' rights and a number of other issues involved, but slavery factored into it.
Yeah. Well, see that, and of course you realize this. I mean, many people would argue that point. You know that that slavery was the primary issue.
Well, what started the Civil War was the secession.
Right.
That started the Civil War.
Right.
The South Confederates, one state after another, decided they were going to join the Confederacy,
Right.
and they seceded from the Union. And Abraham Lincoln had very little options left to him, and so that whole thing, and a lot of it was over the slavery issue, but there were other issues regarding states' rights that were involved with that and associated. And
Okay. But from what I'm hearing you say, you kind of feel that keeping the school name continues to show respect to the people who that is part of their heritage.
Right.
Okay.
Right, and it's part of our history as Americans.
All right.
And so we need to accept both sides and not try to restart the Civil War.
Okay. So how do you think these cultural issues should be handled? I mean, what is...
Educationally?
Yeah.
We need to teach it in the schools a lot more than it's being taught. And from what I understood from the last interview you had, one of the student that was here, didn't know, she said most of the school probably didn't know what the name Lee was stood for.
Yeah, she did say that. Yep.
There's something wrong here. Maybe we need to be teaching what that was all about and go with the facts, not emotion. Teach the facts, and teach why it all happened. Teach the history. And it should be an introductory course, I think, at every school.
Okay.
And if not introductory, a part of the curriculum.
Okay.
I got my master's in curriculum and instruction, by the way.
That's good to throw that in, So what if, have you gone to any of the meetings that the school board's had so far
I have
on
not.
this issue? Okay.
I've been interested in the school board for a long time. I've had friends on the school board in the past, and I've even thought about it myself, but I've been too overwhelmed with home activities to get involved.
Now, the meeting that's coming up on the 23rd, do you think that's something that you might attend, or?
It's possible, depending. I got 4 kids still at home.
Okay.
And I'm going all over the countryside.
All right. All right. Okay. All right. Well, let's just speculate a little bit. Let's say that the school board did decide to change the name of the school. Would you have any suggestion about what you think it might be changed to, or? Maybe that's an unfair question. And I didn't really prepare you for that.
Yeah.
But we were talking off camera. I mean, if it went to a popular vote, if the school board decided to have a vote amongst the people of East Wenatchee, I think it's pretty clear that the vote would be to leave the school name as it is. But there is a strong opposition to this, of course, who have very strong feelings about it, that if they went with the emotional side of it, they probably picked that the name would change. Let me go. There's a good friend of mine said that the name of the school should be changed to a girl named Bella Reeves. Have you heard of her?
I've heard of it.
I think I have the name
of her.
right.
Excuse me.
I think she was a local citizen here who eventually became Secretary of State of Washington.
That escapes me.
Was an educator. And see, that's just kind of it. I mean, this is what my daughter, who I love very much, is saying. There's nothing around here named for anything other than a white male. Okay?
That's an interesting point.
So just curious as if you had any, thought about the possibility.
There's a couple names that I won't mention, but.
Well, come on, don't be afraid. You can go for it here, okay?
Boy, I just don't see that happening.
Okay. But you really think the school board's going to keep it?
I believe that would have to be the case.
Okay.
Given the circumstances.
And what might you say to the folks who are going to be very disappointed if that doesn't happen, if the name doesn't change?
These days, so long after the Civil War has taken place, we weren't part of that. We weren't emotionally involved with that. Don't get emotionally involved with a false narrative. Yeah. We got a political movement nationwide going on that's wanting to remove statues, monuments, names on facilities, no matter what they are, if they are associated with the Confederacy, right, and thereby the slavery. That political movement, they don't care about what it represents. That's I think the direct path to attacking the U.S. Constitution.
Well, see, they may say they would disagree with that they do care about what it represents, that it represents oppression, slavery, and that type of thing. So, but you obviously see it differently.
I see that as a mental choice.
Okay.
They've decided that's an issue, and then they get emotionally involved with it.
Okay.
You know, maybe, you know, I do have a degree in psychology, but it makes me an armchair psychologist. So I can't tell, you know, why people are what they are and do what they do and think what they think. But that's my guess.
Okay.
You know, that it's a mental choice. I'm not making that choice, even though I would have sided with the Union. I'm anti-slavery. You know, I never would have supported slavery.
Yeah, of course not. So.
I would have been involved in helping to get the slaves free.
Right.
But you know, still, it's a part of our culture.
You see, and this is something that's interesting to me. You know, I mean, it's really easy for us to look back at the South of those times and criticize them, and you know, criticizing the institution of slavery is very justified. But you know, what would you and I have done had we been raised in that culture? You
Exactly.
know? I mean, I have to admit, and again, I'm not in any way excusing it. My mom was German. She was born in Germany. Okay, and her family almost moved back to Germany during the beginning of World War II, and that's a show I'm going to do in a couple of weeks, talk about immigration and that type of thing. Had I been raised under the Nazi regime, I mean, I know my character. There was a lot of their tenets and values, you know, in my younger years I would have accepted, and so I'm not ashamed. I mean, I'm ashamed to say that. I mean, I'm sorry that's what my character's like, but I have to admit I have those shortcomings, so my attitude always is, as far as racism and prejudicial things are concerned, is the way to fight them is to deal with them yourself. Okay, first and foremost. So, Mr. Darlington, appreciate you being here. Why don't you stick around for a minute? We're going to take a break and come back just to conclude the show, but I appreciate you being here. We're here with Mr. Miles Darlington today. He's a former educator, former Wenatchee police officer, retired Army, and he's here today, as you saw, just to discuss his views and some views that represent others about why the name of Robert E. Lee School should not be changed. But hey, street talk and other stuff. Mike Mad Dog Magnati, you stick around. We'll be right back.
Lake Chelan mailboxes find solutions and the best price for all your shipping needs, including UPS, FedEx, and the U.S. Postal Service. We offer a variety of services, including quality copies of all sizes, faxing, scanning, sending and receiving email, laminating, and notarizing. Enjoy browsing through our large selection of greeting cards. Lake Chelan Mailboxes supports our military, fire victims, and our community. Come see us at the Plaza in Lake Chelan.
Yes, we are live from Studio 2, and I am Dan Koontz. This is Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. We got news, we got sports, we got weather, we got obscure holiday today in history and birthdays. Tom Potter joins me in studio. How are you? And Rod Cool is my guest today. The expert is by your. We're broadcasting live from Studio 4, from Studio 2, Studio 7 here in downtown Wenatchee. Time for the obscure holiday of the day. Your Dog to Work Day, Beautician's Day. It's National Selfie Day, and in honor of National Selfie Day, I'm going to take a picture of myself.
Wake Up Wenatchee Valley, mornings at 7 o'clock on the NCW Life Channel.
All right, street talk and other stuff. Mike Mad Dog Magnati, appreciate you being here today. Miles, appreciate you being here. What's your rest of your day like today? What are you going to do when you leave here?
Probably
I'm going
working
back
on
to
house
work.
projects.
Really? Anything interesting?
Not much.
No? Okay. All right, but hey, you know, I do want to say again, you know, I dispensed with the fun-loving part of the show. Well, I think it's fun. I love it. The jokes and the frivolity today because of the tragedy in Las Vegas. It's ongoing. You know, when I got here earlier today, I was not apprised as to the updated casualty list, and Miles and some other people here helped me with that. So, okay, so our thoughts and prayers with those folks. And let's hope that incidences like this will bring about some sort of discourse that will give us effective ways of maybe dealing with this, all right? Knee-jerk reactions don't help. Blatant Facebook posts don't necessarily help. But hey, street talk and other stuff. We'll see you next week. God bless you. Bye-bye.